Hello everyone. It's James again. And before we get started, I want to sincerely thank everyone for viewing my content, for supporting this channel, and for being a part of the process of understanding what narcissism or narcissistic abuse is about, and living a better life. And for those that are new to this channel, I want to say thank you for giving this little cartoon man with a funny voice a bit of your time. I do appreciate you. Today I want to talk about something important. And there is many layers to this topic, as there are with many of the topics we talk about regarding narcissism and narcissistic abuse. You see. And that's the thing. Narcissism and narcissistic abuse isn't straightforward. Well, sometimes it can be. But most times it's not. That's why people from one end of the globe to the next get swallowed up. Because the narcissist makes you think up is down and down is up. And before you figure out what the truth is, you've been taken for a ride. This is why I've talked about for years now. To slow things down. You see. I started this channel many years ago, talking about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. But because I noticed how the world worked was similar to the narcissistic abuse that went on inside my home, I started to talk about it, using both as examples. But also too, I realized though narcissists have a lot, and I do mean a lot, of similarities, I was able to clearly see that male narcissists and female narcissists oftentimes operate under two different sets of rules. And it's not because one is any worse or better than the other. However, it's because they know how society works, and they know that men are seen as the bad ones in domestic situations almost always. Not always, but almost always. And the female narcissists know this fact too. So male narcissists know they have to tiptoe around this and really brainwash their victims deeply, so they can do the evil they do and not get into trouble. But the female narcissists seem to think they can risk being a little bit more out there with their behavior, because they've been told and learned since an early age that they can slap a man and then cry in the corner and accuse the man of being the aggressor, and he will go to jail. No questions asked. Do not pass go. On her say so. He will go to jail. But since smartphones have gotten super good with taking videos at a moment's notice, narcissist women are now going to jail. Because they still have it hardwired into their mind. They can beat on the man and the man will go to jail. Well, when I would even dare speak about these dynamics, and those that have been a part of my channel since day one can and will remember. Some people coming into the comment section triggered. And in their comments, they would not address not one thing or fact I mentioned in my video. But they would just say how sorry they were that I don't like women. Which is false. I like women just fine. And actually, by me talking about it, it's to help them. So those that aren't narcissists will think twice before going down that road with such bad behavior. Because how this narcissist system works. And remember, you have to peel back the layers of the onion. The puppet masters, just like your narcissist parents, programmed these bad reactive traits in the people of society like narcissist parents do to their children. And even the scapegoats can end up with these traits as well, to where they might overreact to certain things. And the reason why the narcissist parent does this is so you will look like the crazy one, or so they can get you into trouble somehow. Well, society gave free rein in most Western countries to women to feel free to slap, punch, hit and use a man for his money. And the man is told to not defend himself. And even if he doesn't defend himself, if she claims he harmed her, she knows that her side of the story will be believed over his. And no, not every woman will do that. And not every woman is like that. But there isn't a woman that grew up in a Western country that didn't know they had that kind of power. There are certain norms of society, and that is one of them. But here's the problem. The puppet masters did this to women on purpose. Why? So eventually they could start locking them up. Just like they lock up the men. And so they can destabilize the family unit to where you have to go to the puppet masters as being your family. But those that are or were triggered by such videos can't see the long con or the long game. They would just get triggered and say, "I used to like your videos. But I didn't know you felt like that about women." All the while nothing in their statement is in no way at all true. They didn't and wouldn't address one word or fact in my video or videos. That's triggered. And some of these people might be decent people. They just heard one thing they didn't like and their hearing turned completely off. And they started to hear or believe they heard something that wasn't even said at all. And that's what happens when you get triggered. And it can happen to all of us. But when you get triggered, and this is very, very important to understand. When you get triggered, you start to hear things how narcissists hear things. Now this doesn't mean you are a narcissist. But for just that moment, your hearing level or skills just entered the realm of how narcissists hear what people say. So in the first Joker movie, I haven't seen the second one. But in the first Joker movie, there are scenes when someone is talking to him. And he in his mind ends up playing these weird skits of either things being super fantastic where he's the star, or they are super horrible where he feels like everyone is against him and is being criticized. When that might not be what's happening at all. Well, when that trigger response has been programmed into you since you were a child. And even when you hear something that you think you might not like, you can slow things down enough to listen to the entire thing and gather what the real message is. If you can't do that, you will end up going into that alternate realm where you are hearing things that weren't said and thinking someone is criticizing you when they aren't. I remember I had some people comments saying the wildest stuff. And I was like thinking to myself, what video did you just watch? I didn't say any of what you just said I said. But that was the problem. They heard the word woman. Or women. And in their mind they put all in front of it. When the words all women was never spoke. When a man in society has a problem with a woman's behavior and they say the word woman or women, it all goes downhill from there. Their hearing turns off. And they start making up in their mind what you are about and what you said. Even though you didn't say anything they are saying you said. Well, the same thing is happening for not everyone. But for some in the last video. And I'm not mad at these people. I just want them to have the chance to put how they feel about a person aside for a moment. A person that might trigger them. And look at what I said in the video. In my last video, I was talking about ladies on the internet talking about causing harm to those they believe voted for Donald Trump. I also mentioned how witches were doing spells against Donald Trump. Spells they said weren't working. Their words, not mine. Because he was protected. I also mentioned. And I've mentioned from day one. I'm on the side of Jesus Christ. Now from all of that, a few people. And again, this isn't to say these are bad people. Some of these people I'm sure are decent people. However, they somehow got from all of this that I'm somehow using this platform to cheer on Donald Trump, when none of that was spoke. But what was spoken was about those witches trying to do spells on him. Their words, not mine. And some of these women talking about taking jobs at places people eat and drink. And putting things in the food and drink of those they think might have voted for Donald Trump, based on their appearance. And in these negative comments, not one of them mentioned the content about the video regarding the satanic evil of the witchcraft. And the satanic evil of those talking about harming people. They just heard what they wanted to hear. And the rest just seemed to not exist for them. Look. I want you to know something. The reason why my channel has been shadow banned and hasn't been allowed to grow. And I had one problem after the next with my channel isn't because I was just talking about narcissism. It was because I was talking about the uncomfortable truths about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. I, like others that were experiencing the same issues, were connecting the dots. I spoke up about communism and the same brainwashing techniques that is used to get a society to go into communism is the same the narcissists use on their individual victims. And guess what, the very next day my channel was in trouble and it hasn't been the same ever since. You see, if I were to play the game and say, there are more male narcissists than female narcissists, which isn't true. They are the same. And finally people are coming around and admitting that fact. When I was saying it here and getting in trouble for it more than 10 years ago. But if I were to say, male narcissists are the problem, and down with the patriarchy, and communism is great, it just hasn't been done correctly yet, guess what? I would have tons more subscribers. This platform would have fast-tracked and pushed this channel along. And it would be a success. But only a financial success. Not really a success, because all of the things I just said we know are things that shouldn't be pushed. Men and women narcissists are evil. Evil doesn't know gender or parts of the world. It's everywhere. And if those that run such platforms were and are against communism, why screw up the channels of those that say the same techniques to get communism to grow are the same as narcissistic abuse? So what I would do is start asking some questions. Why would someone shadow ban someone because they are talking about communism in such a way? Oh, possibly because they like communism and they don't want anyone talking about it badly. Much like your narcissist parent or parents that tried to shut us up from blowing the whistle on what was happening in our toxic homes of origin. If we know that men and women can be evil in the same manner or rate, why mess up the channel that is trying to say this fact? Well, maybe they want to have the imbalance stay in society so it can cause the sick effect on society that it's causing, and they don't want it fixed. Look, I've said before, I don't talk about politics much. But I do talk about societal narcissism. And right now they are greatly intersecting. So yes, from time to time, I will be adding videos that will have some of a political theme to them. But mostly the video as a whole will be related back to our lives and how we grew up. 10% of my last video was political. 90% was about the evil of people. However, some got triggered and focused on the 10%. Some of my subscribers aren't believers. But I post prayers. Or I refer to certain topics of narcissism and narcissistic abuse to what can be found in the Bible from the evildoers of that time. And sometimes, I just talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. Heck, I even talk about UFOs from time to time, and their relationship to demons and angels. I just ask that you slow things down, and get the entire message before you make a choice on what you believe you are hearing. And that's not so it helps me out. It's so it helps you out. Because we are here to better ourselves. And this is one thing even I had to work on. And it was one of the first things I noticed early on, way before I knew what narcissistic abuse was about. That some people just turn off their hearing when they hear a trigger word they don't like, or they think the conversation is going to go in a direction it in no way is going in. And I wanted to make sure I didn't do that. Am I perfect in this? No. But even years ago, I noticed this as a problem that not only narcissists but their victims suffer from. Overreaction and getting triggered. Well, I hope this video was helpful for someone. And please know, for those that left not so good comments, even though I didn't say what you believe I said, I'm not mad at you. With that said, I do hope your day is blessed. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.